Hey, it's Madson, Top Story Sports 1140. The Red Sox are headed back to the World Series for the fourth time in 15 years. They beat the Astros 4-1 in Game 5 of the ALCS to take that series 4-1. They now await the winner of the Dodgers-Brewers NLCS, which continues tonight with Game 6 in Milwaukee. The Dodgers lead that series 3-2. The Cardinals fell to the Broncos last night 45-10 to open Week 7 of the NFL season, and the Sacramento Kings are back in action tonight. They take on the undefeated New Orleans Pelicans down in New Orleans. Our coverage begins on Sports 1140 with game night at 3:30, pregame at 4:30, and tip-off is set for 5 o'clock. It's 8:02. Carpets Plus is having our fall sale, 25% off all of your flooring needs. Those are your top stories. Now back to the drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Rise and shine, sleepyhead.
I'm not letting you go to work today.
Wait, what?
Everybody, listen up.
Welcome to The Drive.
Morning.
You're gonna talk.
Get on the phone at 339-1140.
Pretty awesome, huh?
Jump in on our text line at 441140.
Everyone is talking about it. You must know that.
The Drive starts now.
Sac Republic in action tomorrow against the Swope Park Rangers. Playoffs, round 1. Simon Elliott, the manager, will join us at 8:35. Dave Richard right now on the Firewings hotline. 21 different flavors to choose from. It's firewings.com. Just wing it. See a couple calls in right now. Get him in because we have an abbreviated Dave Richard this morning. He's a very, very busy young man, so give us a call at 1-800-920-1140 if you have questions for Dave about your fantasy lineups this weekend. Without further ado, from CBS Sports, the one, the only, Dave Richard. Hello, David.
I feel like I'm being introduced to a heavyweight fight, Dave.
Dave Richard! No?
I think I need that when I come into my house at home every night, just so that I get the response that I think I should have. Normally when I walk into my house, the only person who's excited to see me is my dog.
Yeah.
He's jumping all over me. He's almost acting like, I can't believe I've gone 8 hours without seeing you, or however many hours it is. And, my kid's playing on the PS4. Mm-hmm. My other kid's upstairs yapping on the phone.
Yeah.
My wife is, who knows what she's doing. You know how that goes. So I feel like I need some sort of like a button that I can hit on the side of my wall where I get that introduction when I walk in the door.
So what I'm hearing is you either want Dave and I to come live with you,
right,
or you just compared us to your dog.
That's a good point.
No. I didn't compare either of you to my dog, and it would be a little weird if you guys lived with us.
I don't think so.
I think I just need a recording.
My theory.
That makes sense.
My theory is that Dave Richards' dog plays fantasy football.
He's undefeated in 2 leagues.
Just waiting for you to come home so you can just bounce lineups off. You've got an abbreviated schedule today, and we always appreciate any time you can give us each and every Friday. So, hey, if you don't mind, without further ado, I've got a couple fantasy questions from listeners that I'd like to run by you.
Let's do it.
All right, let's start with Kenyon Drake. A lot of texts. Sometimes I get a lot of texts about one guy, and I'll just put them together in one question. A lot of people unsure about Kenyon Drake. Is he a flyer? Is he an RB2? Where do you have him?
He's a flex this week, and so is Frank Gore, and I actually have Frank Gore ranked ahead of Drake in non-PPR because we've seen Gore get more carries and do better with them than Kenyon Drake has. So if you start Drake, you're almost starting him like as a passing downs running back, like James White or Chris Thompson, Jalen Richard, those types of guys. I think that's the role that he's settling into more than not in Miami.
When we talk about running backs, I think Le'Veon Bell has been on the top of everyone's mind, but we saw David Johnson last night in another struggle of an outing. Is it David Johnson? Is it the team he plays for? And regardless, who cares? Is he still do you have to start him every week simply because of where you drafted him?
It's not because of where you drafted him. It's because of the talent.
Sure.
2 weeks ago, he had 2 touchdowns in a game, and you don't want to leave that on your bench. So David Johnson is still going to be that guy that you're going to start every week almost blindly. And I think there's going to be reason for optimism with David because they're going to change offensive coordinators. It's just a matter of time. It could be as soon as today where the Cardinals make a move. They're going to put Mike McCoy on the street, and they're going to make Byron Leftwich their new offensive coordinator. That's kind of what I'm hearing, what I'm feeling. And I think Leftwich will get Johnson more involved in the passing game. That's something we were kind of hanging our hat on with him when we drafted him in the first round. And I also hope that they use him more on edge runs, not jam him in between the guard and the center 10 times a game, because that's not getting anywhere with this offensive line. I don't know how many games he'll have this year with over 100 total yards, Dave, but he's got a chance to score no matter who he plays because it's David Johnson. And I think the offense will get a little bit of a refresh once they change offensive coordinators.
From the text line, trade question. Guy wants to trade or know if he should trade Joe Mixon and James Conner for Todd Gurley, 12-team PPR. Also has Sony Michel, Ito Smith, and Corey Clement. So apparently he's playing, first off, with a bunch of people that maybe haven't played fantasy football before. But that being said, Mixon and Conner for Gurley, do you do it?
It's a lot to pay for Todd Gurley, and that's kind of how it is with Todd Gurley. If you want him in a fantasy league, you better put up a lot. I would keep Mixon. I might rather give Michelle and Connor. So why don't you counter with that combo and offer that for Gurley? That's still a really good deal for the person who's giving up Todd Gurley. They're going to get two young running backs, one who should have the job in New England for the rest of the season, the other one who could end up having the job in Pittsburgh the rest of the way.
Jameis Winston or Cam Newton this weekend?
It's Jameis, and it's not even close. He just played so well last week. Made very few mistakes. Only one of the interceptions is his fault. And I think against Cleveland, I know this defense statistically they've played well. They're missing a couple of key starters that I think will hurt them, and I think Winston, just by volume, will be able to put up gaudy numbers for the second week in a row.
A lot of people really worried about the future of Alvin Kamara with the injection of Mark Ingram. Are you worried at all? Did people get spoiled the first few games of the year with Kamara?
I think his workload will be better than it was in Week 5, but worse than it was in Weeks 1 through 4. He was averaging about 23 touches per game in those first 4 weeks, and then it dropped down to 9 in Week 5. So that's not saying much, Dave. I do think he'll be right around 14, 15 touches per game. I think this is a week where the Ravens actually see a lot of Kamara and see a lot of Mark Ingram. I think you're going to see a little bit of a muted game from Drew Brees, and they try and lean on both of their running backs. It's not an easy matchup any which way for New Orleans. If you have Kamara, you will continue to start him. I don't think selling high is the answer at all.
Andrew Luck versus
selling. I shouldn't say selling high. You wouldn't be selling high after a 9-touch game. Giving him up, giving him away, that's not what you want to do.
Brady at Chicago, Andrew Luck home against Buffalo.
I'm going to go with Brady against Chicago. I think that he just has it's going to be a good matchup for him, and it could be a very high-scoring game between both of these teams. You know what Brady's capable of doing. And Luck's it's not an easy matchup against Buffalo, but he is at home. He's getting T.Y. Hilton back, and he's been mostly very accurate with the football. So even though he's not challenging downfield as much as everybody would like, he's still throwing enough to get really good numbers, and I think Andrew Luck is going to help people this week. But I like Brady better.
Have we reached a point where Tariq Cohen is a must-start?
He is this week, and it's going to be a week-to-week thing. Last week, I liked him. I didn't love him. And what ended up happening is the Bears found themselves in a shootout, and that's when you're going to see Tariq Cohen play. Call me crazy. I think they're going to be in another shootout against Tom Brady and the Patriots this week, and you're going to see Tariq Cohen continue to take a lot of touches away from Jordan Howard. Things will change, and Jordan Howard will have certainly some good opportunities. Next week, the very next week, they play the Jets. That's going to be one of those games where I think Jordan Howard is a much safer bet to score a touchdown and maybe even get you 70 yards on top of it. That could be a Jordan Howard week and a little bit less of a Tariq Cohen week.
All right, we're having a phone issue. I've got the calls, but we can't put the names in, so everybody listening, don't worry about identifying yourself. Caller, you're on with Dave Richard. Go ahead with your fantasy football question.
Hey, this is Devin. I had a question about my flex spot. It's half-point PPR, and it's comes down to Antonio Callaway, Deion Lewis, Chester Rogers, or Nick Chubb.
It's going to be Rodgers from that group. We've seen the volume and targets be there for him. I think it's now 3 straight games he's had good numbers from that. But T.Y. Hilton will be back. That'll take some targets away. But he still should be that number 2 wide receiver, probably number 3 target overall in Indianapolis. And against Buffalo, I think he'll be able to get away with some good numbers there. So he's your best of the bunch.
All right, Dave Richard, CBS Sports and CBS Sports HQ, on with us right now answering your football questions for another couple of minutes. Caller, go ahead. You're on with Dave Richard.
Mac, Powell, or McCoy? I need two.
Mac, Powell, or McCoy? Dave, he needs 2.
I think McCoy is pretty much the number one that you're going to go with. When you say Marlon Mack, I don't feel very good about him getting a lot of work. I think Buffalo's defense, I think Buffalo's going to give Indianapolis a game. And that's part of the reason why I think Andrew Luck is going to have to throw a lot. And when Andrew Luck throws a lot, that's good for him, and it's not going to be good for Mack. So I'm going to say to sit Mack from that group.
All right, one more from the phone lines, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Caller, go ahead. You're on with Dave Richard.
How you doing, Dave? I got the 3 Gs. I got Godwin, Galladay, and Gabriel. Which one should I start in Standard League?
If it's only one of those, it's going to be Galladay. The matchup isn't a slam dunk for him, but he's just been putting up so many great points that you got to love him as a top 12 receiver this week. I think he's got potential to really dominate the Dolphins, who still don't have a great pass rush, still have questions in the middle of their defense. It's just the cornerbacks, 2 of the 3 of them are pretty good, and there's a third that might be back, but it's not enough to slow down Galladay, who's just such a size-speed matchup problem for Miami, that he's got the highest upside, he's got lots of targets going his way. I just think that he's the most explosive of the guys that you've got.
Where are you at with Greg Olsen right now?
You're almost starting him because it's Greg Olsen.
Yeah.
Like, literally, that's reason number 1. And reason number 2 why you're starting him is, well, there's not a lot of tight end. And it's hard to find a tight end that you like that has a lot of upside. Now, you can go to your waiver wire and see if Austin Hooper's still there, see if David Njoku, George Kittle, O.J. Howard, see if they're still there. Evan Ingram might have been dropped. You know, he was banged up for a while. It looks like he's going to come back this week. He's got a great matchup against Atlanta. You go with one of those guys ahead of Greg Olsen? Absolutely. That's a no-brainer. It's more like comparing Olsen to C.J. Uzomah, who's the new top tight end in Cincinnati, but isn't getting a ton of looks in the red zone. Jordan Reed, who's been disappointing for the past couple of weeks. Cameron Brate, who only had a touchdown last week, but that was it, just one catch for the touchdown. In those situations, you almost just defer to the veteran, and it makes sense. It's not a great matchup for him, but Olsen is still one of those guys that you'll start as a low-end option.
Dave, you know that he's got bigger things to worry about, and it's not like he wanted to be injured. You know my affection for him, but every year I say I'm not drafting Devontae Freeman, and every year I draft Devontae Freeman because I'm a Florida State honk and because he has a ton of talent, and obviously he's out till at least week 15, if not gone. So if you're somebody like me who has Devontae Freeman in about 4 different leagues, are we at the point of the season where I need to make a trade because everybody's gone, or are there a couple of real big flyer running backs I need to look at?
Well, there are a couple of running backs that you can go to the waiver wire and stash. I don't think they're going to pay dividends as soon as this week, but in time they will. Nick Chubb is one of those guys in Cleveland. The Browns have a decent schedule coming up, and I think you'll see Chubb eventually take over for Carlos Hyde, be it because of an injury to Hyde. Hyde gets benched. You know, Hyde hasn't exactly been lighting the world on fire. He scored a lot of touchdowns. He has one game this year with over 4 yards per carry. Raheem Mostert got a nice opportunity for the 49ers last week. I think that's going to continue. If you needed a running back off waivers this week that could help you, I think he's it. I think he can get you 50, 60 yards. And then, of course, there's the guy that's going to get a big boost in playing time with Devontae Freeman not playing anymore. It's Ito Smith with the Falcons. And I'm really not a big fan of either Atlanta running back, Coleman or Ito. The offensive line is not good for run blocking. But I think Smith is going to get, 12 touches a week to Tevin Coleman's 15. And if Tevin Coleman gets hurt, then Ito's got the whole show to himself. You'll be happy to have him on your team if that happens. If I had to rank him rest of season, it would be in the reverse order of what I told you, Dave. Ito would be first, then Mostert, and then Chubb. But I would probably move away from Mostert if he doesn't do anything this week and get Chubb on the bench and stash him for the long haul. I like the idea of stashing him long term.
I know you got a thing to do today, Dave, several of them, I'm sure. For people that still want to ask you questions or see you work or hear you work or watch you work, where can they go?
Well, don't come to my house because even though no one in the house is really going to be a fan of me coming home, I don't need people asking me fantasy questions. But I do have Twitter, at Dave Richard, all one word. And, of course, I give live fantasy football help every day, 9 a.m. your time, on CBS Sports HQ. That's the new free 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week streaming service that we've got that gives you all the sports highlights, gives you all the news, lots of smart analysis, all the things that help you be a smarter sports fan and help you win at fantasy football as well. We're going to kick that off in about 45 minutes on CBSSportsHQ.com.
Well, one thing that might be on your show, I don't know, but as you kind of alluded to with David Johnson while you were on the phone, broke about 3 minutes ago from Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network, Mike McCoy, the offensive coordinator for the Cardinals, has been relieved of his duty. So there you go, busy Dave.
Second year in a row, Dave, that he's been fired mid-season. I don't think he's good at this.
Yeah, he may need to take up something else. All right, buddy. Well, listen, always appreciate you. Always appreciate your time, and we will wrap at each other next Friday.
Dave, good luck in your leagues this weekend. Same to Kyle, by the way.
No, same to Kyle. I'll be at your house in about an hour.
See you then. We'll get lunch.
Take care. Bye. That's Dave Richard of CBS Sports. Always phenomenal to talk to. And if you have any further questions for him, as he said, just hit him up on the Twitter machine. That's at Dave Richard.
Hey.
Hey.
It's time to visit MaidaChevy.com and see who's made a great deal at Maida. That's what I should have asked, Dave.
That's what you should have. I mean, come on. All right, Simon Elliott's coming up at 8:35. We've got about 8 minutes left, 7 minutes left in this segment. Let's see. Note from last night. Before I get to that note, Kyle has something to tell you.
Yeah, we've got 2 more pairs of tickets to Downtown Showdown, which is tomorrow.
It is.
Yeah, so come check it out. Dave's going to be there.
I will.
Dave, Carmichael Dave, not Dave Richard.
No, Dave Richard, that'd be a long flight.
Yeah, so if you have fantasy football questions, come find Carmichael Dave.
That's what she said.
Yep.
And don't ask.
Don't ask.
For sure.
Don't do it.
We can talk about the food. We're not talking fantasy football.
No, we're not.
Downtown Showdown, 40 different food trucks and performances by X-Ambassadors. That's the letter X Ambassadors.
People that used to be ambassadors.
Chris Jansen and Sheila E. Make sure to get your tickets and more info at KHTK.com. All KHTK giveaways are powered by RooseveltAutomall.com. We've got 2 pairs to give away. I'll give away one right now.
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
What caller?
What segment are we in this hour? The first one? Let's do the third caller.
Third caller at 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. I researched this. You know what the E in Sheila E stands for?
Sheila Ebron.
Nope.
Sheila Elephant.
Nope. Effort. It stands for effort, Kyle.
Sheila
stands for effort.
Effort.
It's hard for me to do this, Kyle, because I don't like playing Laker highlights, but this is kind of, I guess, historic. This was LeBron James' first points last night in Portland.
James off the steal. James with the stuff.
That's the way to get your first bucket, Mark.
Dang, what the stuff.
Terry Stotts made me very angry last night because LeBron James was not looking for his shot in the first few minutes of this game. You could very much tell he was all about getting everybody else involved. It was a decided thing. He passed up a few looks. So he gets the steal in the breakaway, and of course he's going to get a dunk. Then I think it was Damian Lillard who then immediately grabs the ball, goes back down the court, huge thunderous dunk. Then LeBron James grabs the ball, rolls down the floor, huge thunderous dunk. Now I'm thinking, oh my God, is this going to be a dunk off? Like who's going to stop? Because LeBron James, I'm the king. I'm LeBron James, and here's my dunk. And then Damian Lillard was like, nope, this is my house. No way. I'm going to dunk. And then LeBron James said, no, I'm the one who's, the greatest. I'm going to dunk. And then Terry Stotts called a timeout. He called a timeout.
He put a Stotts to that.
Yes. You don't call a timeout in that situation. Let it go. Frozen. Let it go. Let them dunk it off. And then as soon as somebody stops dunking,
then you can call your timeout.
Then you call your timeout. That was a wonderful moment,
Important note from last night's game. The Kings and Lakers tied in the standings.
As a matter of fact.
Which I think means De'Aaron Fox is better than LeBron James.
Oh, you mean, he's certainly better than that bench warmer Lonzo Ball. Enjoy the bench, Lonzo.
Lonzo Ball, more like Lonzo.
Lonzo doesn't
play ball.
Doesn't ball. Nice, dude. Did you see the BB Blazers shirts?
No.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
Did you also see the
That just looks like a stutter though. Blazers.
Blazers? Did you see the big baller brand drop their shoe price to $200 quote because they wanted to be accessible for children?
For sure.
I know my kids are rolling around $200. I get some shoes. People
What was it before? Oh no. Caller
what? Oh, they hang up?
Yeah, I was waiting for the break. One more minute and they hung up.
I think you did it. Call
Downtown Showdown tickets. No, they don't. No, they hung up.
That's it,
Downtown Showdown tickets. Back up for grabs. Whoever calls first. There they are.
I think. Is it wrong for me, Kyle? Before you get that phone, is it wrong for me? Much like the whole Vontaze Burfict thing. When I read a story about somebody who bought big baller brand shoes and then they fell apart on them, is it wrong for me to be very happy about that? I'm very happy when I read these stories because I think that people that did that, they deserve to have the shoes fall apart on them. They deserve it.
Yeah, I'm a big baller. You just bought into that?
You just bought into it for $500.
Because the loud man said that you'd be a big baller if you bought his shoes, so you bought his terrible shoes? What are you doing?
I would like to actually...
good on LeVar for taking advantage of people like that because that's what
not really.
Advertisers and businesses are supposed to do.
Really.
That's just high quality marketing.
It's no credit from me.
But
you know who gets credit from me? Stephon Marbury.
Yes.
Marbury gets credit from me for the Starberries.
Stop it. That I get. Because that was actually making the shoes affordable.
Starberry is selling his shoes for $20, $30.
Actually making them affordable.
Good for him.
What LeVar did was something totally different. It's apples and oranges.
Sure it is. And and listen, LeVar's taking advantage of it. I totally understand that. And that's fine. He's a showman.
Right.
But if you're dumb enough, seriously, if you are dumb enough to spend that kind of money on those shoes,
that's on you.
I hope they seriously fall apart.
Yes.
And then maybe you learn a lesson.
Yes. Also, the new ones are super ugly.
Oh, they're disgusting. What is with all these weird colors? And by the way, and we got to go to break. Not a fan of the whole shoe rules they have now. Where you can wear
course.
Whatever.
Oh, my God.
Listen, man. Those shoes that Bagley wears with the Kings jerseys, and then who's the other guy on the team that's wearing I think it's Fox is wearing the Laker colors. Guys, wear whatever shoe you want, but match it with the uniform, please. See, this is a typical millennial.
No, you're a typical. You're a typical old man.
The man keeping structure and tradition.
That's classic. You, Mister. I don't care about the uniform. I just want team cut. Da 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 da.
I do care about.
But
the
now
uniform.
All of a sudden you care about their shoes.
No, I care about it when they look.
No.
They look stupid. They look stupid. Hey, you didn't see those shoes.
No, they don't. They look. You're wearing a shirt that says "Straight Outta Cayman."
I am.
And it's turtles wearing hats.
Yes. That's awesome. That is awesome. And you know what? It matches.
No, you think it's awesome. They like their shoes. If it makes them feel better, we have to break. No, we have to go to break. We have to go to break. Last word.
Damn it.
Leaving your car, away from your radio.
This is Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Red Sox are going back to the World Series. They beat the Astros 4-1 in Game 5 of the American League Championship Series to take that series 4-1. They await the winner of Dodgers-Brewers. Game 6 of that series is tonight in Milwaukee. LA leads the series 3-2. Week 7 of the NFL season kicked off last night with the Broncos putting a 45-10 beatdown on the Cardinals down in Arizona. The Raiders are off this week, but the 49ers are back home to take on the Rams at Levi Stadium. That was originally supposed to be a Sunday night game, but it was flexed out of the Sunday night primetime slot. It will be a 1:25 kickoff. The Kings are back in action tonight as they take on the undefeated New Orleans Pelicans down in New Orleans. Our coverage begins on Sports 1140 with game night at 3:30, pregame at 4:30, and tip-off set for 5 o'clock.
I want to know. They are undefeated. You're factually correct.
Yeah.
I want to know.
It's a bit.
You got me. Shoes still suck. Everybody on the text line agrees with me except for half of them.
Sacramento Republic FC tomorrow. Swope Park Rangers at Papa Murphy's Park. Kickoff is at 7:30. It's the USL playoffs.
Yep.
Number 2 seeded Sacramento Republic FC. Come watch. Carmichael Dave will be there. I'll be there.
Matt George and me on the call, and Simon Elliott of the Republic next.
Yeah, that's what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's 8:31. Carpets Plus is having our fall sale, 25% off all of your flooring needs. Those are your top stories. And now back to the drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Here we go. The drive continues now.
Welcome into the drive. Boy, Shoegate. I know we'd stomp onto that because it's a shoe. That's just it. That's just
shoe. Gotta be kidding me. That's what. Okay, look. That's what I talk to people when we just going back to our very first segment where we talked about the professionalism of the show or the lack thereof.
Mm-hmm.
When people get all mad about like sports going on, when there is no greater.
What do they say?
That's sports going on. There's no greater feedback than when we talk about something unsports.
Mm-hmm.
Food, movies, shoes. Like, there's not a bigger response than when we talk. Like, you and I could prep the biggest show ever with guests and topics and takes. If we start off the show with Mount Potato More, what are your top 4 versions of potatoes?
Well, let me tell you.
Nope, don't do it. We have a Simon Elliott coming on.
Okay.
But that's just the point, is we could do that the entire show.
Yeah. And people go,
and we get feedback on it.
I feel like that was in sports, though. I mean, that's just a generational thing. You either have the under 30 crowd that's stupid. Let's just be honest. They're stupid.
We're pretty dumb.
Anybody under 30 is stupid.
Really smart in a lot of ways,
right.
Really dumb in a lot of other ways.
Or you have the over 30 crowd, which is old and going to die soon. Okay, so
you hit 30, basically RIP.
And there's no middle ground. You're either stupid or going to die soon.
Let me, on the shoes.
Yes.
Let me be very real. Some of them are ugly. Whatever it was that Karl Anthony Towns wore the other night with like the green and orange spirals on them.
Dear Lord.
And I get that they're trying to, like, they're just being individuals. Like, they get to wear whatever they want, so they're wearing shoes they think is cool. That's fine. If that's what makes you feel good on the basketball court, go for it. But there are some ugly shoes out there.
It's my whole thing.
And I think it's cool that the league doesn't mandate that they wear a certain color of shoe. But the players run the risk of wearing just awful things on their feet.
You've got black, white. You have purple, gray. Am I forgetting one? I don't think so. That's like 4 major colors that you can mix and match when it comes to being a Sacramento King. Yeah. Baby blue, red. Again, depending on the uniforms. That's a lot of colors.
Sure.
My only request is when you're wearing a purple jersey with white or gray accents, please don't wear shoes that look like a creamsicle. Also, when your biggest rival...
It's such an individual...
I understand that, and that's
league,
part of the problem.
You got to stand out.
Hey, guess what? Why? How about you're on a team?
No, and you are. You're going to play. No, you're going to play. Right, you're going to play like that, but there are so many off-court things that you can benefit from being an individual.
And do it off-court.
So no, for sure. But you can be an individual, play within a team, be part of the team, while still just wearing shoes that make you stand out. That's all.
You can.
That's all. No, that's all. That's all.
You can.
No, hang on. In honor of Simon Elliott, who's coming up next, wearing boots that stand out.
Boots or cleats?
Boots.
Boots?
They call them soccer boots.
Boots?
Yeah.
They do?
I think so.
No,
I had an English soccer coach growing up that always called them our boots.
The boot's the trunk. Isn't that in English?
What?
Englandish? Yeah, a boot's a trunk. Like if you got and the flashlight's a torch. In England, I'm pretty sure, Simon's, I believe, a New Zealander. So I don't know if it works the same over there.
Oh,
but
that's right.
Let's get Simon on. Let's ask him about what his favorite.
What do you call footwear in soccer?
What do you get? Right. Thank you. Simon's a good guy.
Imagine he was like, speaking of footwear, I love the new NBA rules.
I got to get me some of those Bagley Pumas. I want to make sure I get that right. I know Simon played for New Zealand. I'm pretty sure Simon's a New Zealander. I know he's got an awesome accent, and I know he's doing a phenomenal job as the first-year head coach. Yeah, born in Wellington, New Zealand. I think New Zealand follows English rules, right? I think now we got a thing. What's the golden boot? Oh, that's a good point. That's a golden boot. From 916, uniforms need to match. You're a very smart person. 916, I did not like Marvin Bagley's shoes during the preseason. I did not either. Joining us right now, I've confirmed I was correct. New Zealander, born in Wellington. The one, the only head coach of the Sacramento Republic, who will be in action tomorrow night versus the hated Swope Park Rangers. Round 1 of the playoffs, Papa Murphy's Park. Tickets still on sale at sacrepublicfc.com. Coach Simon Elliott. Hey, Coach, how are you today?
Doing pretty well. Doing better after that introduction. That was quite the build up there.
Hey, Simon, we've got a couple of questions right out of the gate for you. They're very important because I'm unsure. I'm unsure whether or not New Zealand follows England rules when it comes to certain things. Is a boot in New Zealand a trunk, like the trunk of your car? Or
it is.
It is?
Yes.
Okay. Is a torch a flashlight?
It is.
Okay, all right. So I was right there. So if you're referring to footwear in soccer, this is the big one I'm leading up to. Do you refer to them as cleats, as boots, or as something else I'm not thinking of right now?
Boots. I use the word boots.
Wow. Kyle was right. I was wrong. They're boots. Is that where the golden boot comes from? I think it is.
Probably.
Yeah. It's embarrassing.
It's all good, right? We're starting off with the important stuff. So I'm glad we're getting the vernacular right. This is important.
It is. You got to have somebody who pays attention. I appreciate that. Simon Elliott giving us an English lesson. In addition to having a strong grasp of soccer terms and of English, you've also done, along with Todd Donovan, that whole staff, just a phenomenal job. And Simon, I saw you out at the dinner on the bridge a couple weeks ago. We had a nice conversation about the ups and downs of this year. And you've been on this show after 4-0 losses. You've been on this show after the Reno match. And you've also been on this show after some really good wins. I know you don't like to overcompliment your team. This is dangerous. But am I right in saying they're playing about as well as they've played all year long?
Well, I mean, I'll let you know after Saturday night.
Right.
I think what we've done is we've responded well when things haven't gone well. We've responded well, and that's what you have to do in professional sports. So I think we have hungry guys. We've made mistakes as coaches. We've made mistakes as players, but we've always tried to get back to work and work very hard and diligently and respond well the next game. So I think that is where I'd compliment the group. They've responded well when things have been tough.
Simon, sometimes coaches, although they may not want to admit it or certainly admit it publicly, probably think to themselves, you know what, I can do whatever I can. We just don't have the talent. I don't get the feeling that's the case with this team at all. And you said this to me earlier in the year. With this club, obviously the talent has to be there. It seems that it is. Is it really so much about the mental aspect of the game as well and how they approach each match?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're big believers in mentality around here. I think it's very, very important. And talent or no talent, I mean, it doesn't replace working hard and sticking together as a group. I mean, there's a lot of talented players that that are quote unquote better when they're younger, and then they don't do the work, and then they get surpassed. So I think it's a combination of the talent and the hard work and the willingness to be a real team. These are the things that get you to where you want to be, and it's worked well in the regular season. But now it's playoffs, and everybody starts from zero again. So we have to, we're going to have to work very hard and be very smart on Saturday night.
Other than the obvious, it's loser goes home, winner advances, that type of thing. Is there a difference that sticks out to you between playoff soccer and regular season soccer, or do you approach it the same exact way?
I think it's to a large extent it's business as usual. I mean, I think we need to just make sure we're focused on who we're playing and what we think they're going to do and what we think we're good at, and make sure that we execute well. I mean, the fundamentals don't change too much, but as you say, there is the the added incentive of winner goes through, loser goes home.
And the way you guys are playing right now, 4-0-1 in your last 5, form seems fantastic. As a manager, is it as a coach, is it tough for you? Do you fight the instinct to where you want to tinker, you want to coach, you want to be involved fully? Is there ever a point where you say to yourself, look, we're doing fine, don't overthink it, let these boys go, or is there always something for you to fix?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and to be honest, I'm not sure how to answer it. Sometimes it's the former, sometimes it's the latter. I mean, you don't want to over-tinker just for the sake of it. You don't want to overthink for the sake of it, but you want to make sure that you've covered all the angles and that you sort of thought of all the appropriate things. So it's I guess the answer is, a bit of a cop out, but it's somewhat of a combination. It's when to tinker, and it's when to realise not to overthink. But I think as coaches and players, it's really important that we do, look back on the last game, the last session, and make sure we're doing everything we can to prepare ourselves and the team properly.
Coach, I talked to you after that LA Galaxy match. 4 goals in the first half, 4-1 loss. You could argue that was the low point of the year. It certainly wasn't a happy point at Papa Murphy's Park. And I remember you saying, not that this could be a good thing, but that it's going to be interesting to see how the team responds mentally. And if my math is right, they've taken 21 of 22 points since then. You haven't dropped points since Sunday, September 23rd in Oklahoma City. It's been phenomenal form. Do you point to that match, that 4-1 loss, and has everything gone? This team responded exactly how you wanted them to respond?
They've done a good job of responding well to a result that wasn't what anybody wanted, and I think it just sort of tells you how tough this league is. If you're off by a little bit, then a team like the Galaxy can put 4 goals past you in 20 minutes. You've got to be on every time, and it doesn't matter if you're playing at home or playing away, or if you've had to travel or whatever. You have to make sure you're on your game every time. So yes, the response has been pleasing, but now we're in playoffs. So the whole thing, all that stuff doesn't matter. It needs to be a committed, engaged performance. I think we're aware that we can perform when the moment requires. We just have to make sure that we're ready tomorrow night. Being through those tough tests certainly helps when it comes to the business end of the season.
When you go in, last question for you, Coach. When you go into this match, do you focus? I mean, you've had some success, 3-1 win at home back on October 3rd over Swope Park, and I believe that was the same result on the road, if I remember correctly, when you played. So you guys have taken care of these guys pretty well. I know you'd be the first guy to say, screw that, that's in the past. But do you focus much on the other team, or are you pretty much focused on you guys, regardless of who you're playing?
I think we always want to be aware of what the other team's doing, but we have to make sure that we're focused on us and getting what we need to do right. And I sort of agree with what you said. Yeah, we picked up points getting some during the season, but that's all out the window now. So it's playoffs. The regular season doesn't count anymore. So again, it's the same stuff, right? We just got to make sure that we're focused on doing the basics well, the fundamentals well. We have an understanding of what they bring, but we want to make sure that we do what we do, and that we execute very, very well come Saturday night.
Makes it easy to root for you because I know you and you're a good guy, but it's been a long season and you've done a tremendous job, and so has Todd and everybody on your staff. And I know the second season's just starting right now. We'll be out there tomorrow calling the game, myself and Matt George at 7:30, and knock on wood, we'll be doing the same thing the following week as well. I always appreciate your time, especially the day before playoffs begin, and I hope to talk to you throughout this playoff run.
Yeah, looking forward to it, and this is why we all do what we do. It's an exciting time of year, and we're glad that we're putting ourselves in a good position. We're looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
See you tomorrow night, Simon. Appreciate you.
Alrighty, see you later. Thanks now.
Take care. That's Simon Elliott. head coach of your Sac Republic. Want to remind you again, tomorrow night, 7:30, we'll have the broadcast right here on Sports 1140 KHTK, myself with Matt George, Scott Marsh on assignment with UC Davis football, and tickets still available. Come out and hang out. We've got the downtown chowdown going on all day, all afternoon. Why not go out there and then head right over to the Sac Republic games? Tickets still available at sacrepublicfc.com. It's going to be a fun night out at Papa Murphy's Park. We'll take a break. Nostradamus is next right here on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Here's what's on tap.
All right, we'll start in baseball. The Brewers back in Wisconsin, down 3-2, and it didn't go this way, but listen, it might as well have as far as home team holding serve. That's what's supposed to happen. Brewers have 2 home games. They've got to win 2 home games, or the Dodgers will face the Red Sox in the World Series. As far as the NBA goes tonight, pretty decent-sized schedule, but the one you care about, the Kings and Pelicans, that game at 5 o'clock, your action right here. Jason Ross on the call for the G-Man.
Jason H.W. Ross.
That's right, on the Sporty 1140. I'll tell you another game I'm actually going to look at is your Warriors in Utah taking on the Jazz in their home opener. That could be a very sneaky good game.
Yeah, it should be fun. The Jazz, even a few years ago, gave the Warriors fits.
Yeah, and they are, we believe, a very, very good team. Plus, I want the Jazz to do well. If Jazz beat the Warriors tonight, it makes us look better.
Right, yeah, no, for sure.
We hung with them. Let's get to some
let's go quick.
Dumbass here. Let me get my music ready to go, and bang, there we go. Every week, sports donkeys across the nation do their dumb pick'em segments, which I just think are boring as hell. In this case, Kyle and I will tell you exactly what's going to happen in the game, and then we'll hold ourselves accountable come Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll replay this clip, and we'll sound super smart, or like last week, super, super stupid. Raiders are off, so we're just going to do 2 games. We'll start, of course, with the Rams and Niners, flexed out to 125 in Santa Clara. Not that difficult, or it shouldn't be. It's going to be a blowout. It's going to be a blowout of pretty decent proportions. I'm going to say I'm going to go with a 41 burger for the Rams. I'm going to say 41. I think the Niners will put up some points, 14 to be exact. Give me a rushing touchdown by somebody. Give me a C.J. Beathard, Marquise Goodwin touchdown. I don't know. Give me 2 C.J. Beathard picks. Jared Goff. I'm going to go with 4 touchdowns from him through the air. Todd Gurley, a couple on the ground, and 1 on the 2 for Todd Gurley, 3 for Goff, and I don't know where the hell else they'll get it. 41-14 Rams.
Yeah, I've got the Rams winning 41-24. I like 3 Jared Goff touchdowns, 2 Todd Gurley touchdowns. I think Robert Woods gets in the end zone twice. I think Brandon Cooks gets in once. And I think C.J. Beathard maybe throws a I don't really care what the 49ers are going to do offensively. It's not going to be enough. Give me a George Kittle touchdown. He hasn't scored one in a while. And I like give me Garrett Selleck getting in the end zone as they take advantage of the Rams linebackers. And I think Matt Breida finds the end zone again as well for the 2nd consecutive week. Rams 41, Niners 24.
We both have the Rams scoring 41.
Yeah.
Wow.
41-24 was what I wrote in my column for Rams Wire.
You did a column for
Well, we do like cross, they do 5-question Q&A.
10 a.m. game, Patriots and Bears, maybe my favorite game of the week. I like what Dave Richards said. This will surprisingly be a high-scoring game. Not crazy high-scoring, but I think you're going to see a lot of points on the board here. The over-under here is 49. I think they'll be right around that. Let's go Tom Brady, 3 touchdowns in the air. Sony Michel, a touchdown on the ground. Add in a Gostkowski field goal. 31-28. I like it being a close game. Trubisky with a couple. 31-28 is your final. Patriots win.
I'm going to go to London. I'm going to look at this Chargers-Titans game, and I think the Chargers are going to kill the Titans. It turns out the Titans actually stink, and I think the Chargers are gonna announce their presence with authority as a bona fide playoff contender and a bona fide Super Bowl contender in the AFC. I think the Chargers beat the Titans behind 4 Phillip Rivers touchdowns. Give me Chargers 31, Titans 6.
Wow. Your own Titans, huh?
Yeah. They stink, dude.
All right. Do we have anything else we need to give away?
Yeah, Downtown Showdown tickets. 40 different food trucks and performances by ex-ambassadors Chris Jansen and Sheila E. Make sure to get your tickets and more information at KHTK.com. All KHTK giveaways are powered by RosevilleAutomall.com. Fifth caller there. All right, our thanks, I should say, to Sean Salisbury, to Dave Richard, to Simon Elliott. Eunice does a phenomenal job behind the glass there on the video podcast, whatever you want to call them. Check out the archives at KHTK.com and our YouTube channel. For Kyle Madson, I'm Carmichael Dave. Jim Rome is next. Going behind the back into the bucket here.
Right here on Sports. I sunk mine.
We got a few seconds.
Sports 1140 KHTK.
Eunice, did you get that?
Did she get it? Did you make it?
Yes, let's go. I made it. I drilled it.
He's lying. We'll see y'all 6 a.m. Monday morning. Go Kings. Sports 1140 KHTK. Bye-bye now.